quick heads up, if you're interested at all in picking up a Scuf controller for the holidays, now is the best time possible to do so. My friends over at Scuf bumped my discount code of Espresso up to 10% off as opposed to its normal 5 from now through Cyber Monday. It's the best deal of the year, so if you're interested, head over to their site and use code Espresso. It's day 2 of the early content, and while yesterday we took a look at the high-action ground war map of Port, today we're going to be slowing things down a little bit before ramping up into our huge day of uploads tomorrow. You can likely expect at least 2 videos, though probably 3 in reality, coming tomorrow, as we have a lot to discuss as we round into Season 1. But today we're going to be slowing down the pace a little bit and looking at 2 new 2v2 gunfight maps within Modern Warfare's first season, and what will be coming to you as of 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday. Both of these maps, along with ground war maps, the 6v6 map we'll discuss tomorrow, and the weapons are all free to all players all at the same time, regardless of platform. The maps we'll be taking a look at today are the maps of Atrium as well as Cargo, 2 new 2v2 gunfight maps. So let me know your thoughts down below on these as we go through them, and of course, hit that subscribe button if you guys have not done so already. Seriously, tomorrow and the rest of the week is going to be absolutely huge content-wise, so make sure you don't miss any of that. We're entering some burning questions tomorrow and going further into the future. Additionally, before we break these down, thanks to Infinity Ward and Activision for having me out to be able to capture this gameplay to showcase for you all. But anyways, let's dive into it. Let's start with Cargo, the one you may actually recognize, and I think this one was probably my favorite of the 2 maps that we had on offer for gunfight in the time that we had at the studio, though truthfully, both were a lot of fun and played really well. The first thing that I noticed whenever we saw some promo images and even some of the in-game teasers at the studio was that I was kind of a little bit nervous for how the verticality would play. That's one thing that if you look at the gameplay, you might notice yourself. Verticality is actually a big part of this map design here with this, but more so in the way of like docks, it actually plays pretty well with it. I actually think it is the most vertical gunfight map now that we see this introduced. This technically has 3 levels of play, ground and lower in the middle, on top of crates and stacks, and then the 2 catwalks at the side of the map. So 3 different heights to consider, which I thought honestly would be a little bit tedious and difficult to track in a more so tactical mode, but really, it worked out way better than I thought. If you want that real high advantage, you have to sacrifice your visibility on the cross and also put yourself where there's minimal cover. If you want to grab stacks, you can put yourself in the open, but you also have the view of the cross and lower and above. But if you want to stay on the low, you want to maybe play a little stealthy, you have vision of the crosses, and you can also again move almost ninja-like and sneak up on people on the bottom level. There's a lot of cool spots where you can surprise enemies and pick them off in style. Some nice quick action scenarios where you could pop up and insta-headshot players if you can predict where they're going to be. But overall, I just thought it played really well. As you'll likely notice, it is in fact the inside of the classic map of Wetworks, taking place in the hull of the ship from the iconic mission from COD 4, and of course, underneath the game's multiplayer map as well. I found myself having to hold back some of the "we are leaving" puns and jokes that presented themselves in the opportunities there, but overall, it's a cool new wing to a nostalgia-filled classic and in a newer way. I'd be curious to see if this could play 6v6, you know, if you want to get a little crazy with it. I think it'd be around the size of Classic Shipment, but it'd be one hell of a time, but I'm all for it if you want to flip that switch there, Infinity Ward. Anyways, though, as for Atrium, this, if my memory serves me correctly, a little fun fact, I was talking with David Mickner, and he said this was the original gunfight map, that the design that they had for this was the very first one at the beginning, but then others were just finished before this one. But this one is quite literally an atrium, an open courtyard center with a propped up tree and mounts of decorative mounted pond, and there's also 4 base pillars in that middle leading into the said center, but everything else comes down to the corridor play on the outside. If you don't want to rush mid, that's where you're going to be. Long lines of sight on that side with not really many obstructions, but it conceals you enough that if you're looking in from the middle, you might have a tough time tracking a player. Truth be told, I found some of the best ways to play this map came down to either rushing mid or slightly waiting to see if they cross or not, and then if they do not, getting that side angle on players that did rush mid, again, if they didn't go into those side corridors. This one, though, makes for a lot of peekaboo scenarios, as I kind of want to dub them, where you can watch a player lose them in the pillars because there's so many of them, and it creates this sort of visual illusion, and then they can pop right back out somewhere else that you weren't expecting in some cases. It makes for some good matches of cat and mouse, but ultimately, they're a lot of fun to play around with. As with Cargo, I'm curious to see how this will shape some of the meta for 2v2, especially now with tournaments live in the game. We'll see how competitive these become. I think both have some great potential for what they can do. But anyways, that's the 2 maps here, the 2v2 gunfight maps, and really all that I have to say about both of them. There's not really much more to it. They're 2v2 maps, they're small, they're definitely competitive, and of course, used to play a little bit more tactically. I'll leave you guys with some raw gameplay of each of these maps to wrap up, so you can get a feel of them in their more raw environment outside of me talking over the footage. But let me know your thoughts below. below before we go. Curious as to what you guys think about both of these, and of course, if you enjoy them and are excited for anything you want to jump into on Tuesday's update, love to hear about it. Again, also, do be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I'm really happy to debut what we've already had as of yesterday and today, which, by the way, if you missed yesterday's breakdown on port, check that out. It's up on the channel. But tomorrow is that big day outside of Tuesday's update, naturally. We'll have so much to discuss tomorrow, so come back here all throughout the day. I think I'm aiming for a 1:30 p.m., 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. EST, or Eastern Standard Time, upload schedule for tomorrow. So for what it's worth and for what it's reference, make sure you check it out. But anyways, drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, and we can get connected a little further. All in all, though, that's where we're at. Excited to showcase more, but for now, I'll leave you with some regular gameplay. Thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. Take care, and peace.
That's a 4-win streak. Let's see 5. Match point. Another round and we got him. Now that was a fight. Solid work. Right, move your ass. Stay hungry. There's more where that came from. Two wins down. Keep up the pressure. Stay hungry. There's more where that came. Three up, 3 down. Keep going. Seconds. Objective in play. Get after it. We're taking the objective. The day's on. All assets are secure on site. That's the way. It's down. Keep up the... They're hurting. Let's send them home. You're the last man standing. frosty. This round's off. Take off. We've set the tempo. Keep it up in the next round. Two wins down. Keep up the pressure. Three up, three down. Keep going. Stitched them up proper.